Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Herbert Finn. I want to welcome you to Put Me in Coach YouTube channel and podcast. In this video, we're going to explore the inspiring journey towards fulfilling a God-given vision. Whether you're seeking clarity on your purpose or looking for guidance on how to bring your dreams to life, this video, my friend, is for you. So we're going to embark on a serious journey today because as many of you know at Put Me in Coach, we believe that it's your story, my friend, and you can write it if you want to. We also believe, that your dreams, it does matter. I know that many of you have been given a God-given vision. God has inspired you. God has given you purpose. And you may not be clear on the process toward fulfilling that particular God-given vision. Some of you may not be clear on if in fact you even have a God-given vision based on what your understanding of a God-given vision is. So let's begin by looking at a working definition of a God-given vision and what it refers to. A God-given vision refers to a vision or purpose in life that is believed to be inspired by God. It is the idea that there is a greater plan or calling, from your life or for your life. And that this plan, my friend, this calling, that you have on your life, that has been inspired by God. That it stems from a divine inspiration. So that's what it means to have a God-given vision. And to understand this God-given vision, it's helpful for us to reflect on our passions. It's helpful for us to reflect on our strengths and to reflect on our values. Because in many cases, when God is giving you a vision, it's going to align with the things that you're passionate about. It's going to align with the things, that you have deep convictions for. And we know that Jesus, had a deep conviction for humanity. And as a result of his conviction and his passion, he came to do something about it. When we look at Nehemiah, the book of Nehemiah, and how, Nehemiah had, compassion for his people, and God had given him a vision so that he can go back and rebuild the people, so that he can restore hope, to the people. So we're talking about, a God-given vision and reflecting on the passions and the strengths and the values, that we have. Because every one of you have a gift. Every one of you have a talent. You have something special. You have a story. You have an experience. And that's why, in the Bible, that's why Jesus said that the world is overcome by two things. One is the blood of the Lamb, and the second is the words of our testimony. Yes, the second thing is our story, our testimony, our story. Sharing what we went through, what we've been through, what we've been delivered from. So we're talking about understanding this God-given vision, reflecting on your passions, your strengths, and your values. So I want to start by asking a question. And the first question is, what are the things that truly matter to you? When Nehemiah brothers came to visit him, to the palace after they had been set free from slavery. However, they were still struggling with rebuilding the walls and, restoring hope to the city. But Nehemiah was working in the king's palace, but Nehemiah still had a burden for his people. He still was passionate. So Nehemiah inquired about, the conditions of the people, and his brothers told him that it was not a good situation that they were in. So that question, what are the things that truly matter to you? See, what mattered to Nehemiah is that the vision that God had given not just him, but his ancestors, that vision be fulfilled. That purpose be fulfilled. What mattered to Nehemiah is that God's people be protected. That's what some of the things that mattered to him. But what's some of the things that matter to you? What are the things that truly matter to you? For me, what matters to me is having the ability, having the strength, having the courage, to be able to share my story. Being able to tell people what I've been through, what I'm going through. Being transparent. What truly matters to me is making a difference, doing something that makes a difference with people who are making a difference at a time that makes a difference. That is what matters to me. So ask yourself, what is it that matters to you? What is it that you are passionate about? What is it, that keep you up at night? What matters to you? The second question is, what brings you joy? And what brings you fulfillment? Once again, for me, it brings me joy and fulfillment when, someone reach out to me and say, you know what, you was a blessing to me. I thank you for that word. I thank you for those encouragements. I thank you for that. I thank you for noticing me. I thank you for just speaking to me and talking to me and listening to me. I thank you for coming alongside and understanding me. That brings me joy and that brings me fulfillment because I know that I'm living in my purpose. I know that I'm doing the things that I know that God has given me as it pertains to my vision. Telling people that it's not too late for them to rewrite their story. And giving them tools that they can use to help them to rewrite their story. Reminding people that they're special, that they're unique. Reminding people that they are fearfully and wonderfully made. Letting people know it doesn't matter what you've been through, what you're going through, that your life, my friend, that is not over. So what brings you joy? What brings you fulfillment? For some of you, it may be baking. It may be baking, baking and cooking and, watching people eat your cooking and watching them get full and watching them enjoy a nice meal. For some of you, it may be working with the youth and working with the kids and watching them, play and learn how to dribble a ball or learn how to play chess or play a game. Or it may be an educator working with different people on different levels. What are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? What are some of the things that you really, really love to do? But at this time, my friend, you may not be doing it. Also, as it pertains to your God-given vision, it's very important for you to pray. Spend some time in prayer and meditation. One thing about Jesus, he prayed a lot. When he wasn't working, he was praying. Think about even Nehemiah, going back to Nehemiah. Nehemiah, the first thing he did was prayed. Before he even dressed the king, who served to be a resource for him, he prayed first. He prayed that God would touch the king. Because there's a scripture that says that the king's heart is in the Lord's hand and he turn it whichever way he will. And Nehemiah understood that. So he prayed to God first that God would touch the heart of the king, and God touched his heart and he gave Nehemiah favor. So it's important that when God is giving you the vision, that God will give you to know that God will give you the resources that you need. But you got to pray first. You got to pray for that guidance. You got to pray for some clarity from God as to what does this vision mean? And what is the role that you have me to play in this vision? Also, it's important for us to understand that the God-given vision is unique to each person. So your vision may be different from my vision. The way God used you is going to be different from the way that God used me. So don't get caught up looking at the way other people do things. Have you ever heard of a word called innovation? Yes, innovation. In the Bible, Jesus talk about that. Paul talk about that. They talking about, how, becoming all things that you may be able to win some. Yes. Doing some things different. Trying some things out. You don't have to continue to do the same thing over and over again just because somebody else done it. So it's important that you use your gifts. Use the talents that God has given you. so that you can execute. Like David, David didn't use Saul's armor. He said, no, I can't use that. That might work for you. And it don't seem like it's working, too much for you because you don't even have it on. So I'm not going to go in that direction. You can't put on Saul's armor, David. You got to wear your own armor, whatever that is, a slingshot and a few rocks, whatever it is that God has given you and you're comfortable with using because it works. This is something that works. Your method works. It's effective. And it may not be right for everybody, but it works for you. And one thing about David, a lot of people don't talk about, is that David used the sling and a rock against Goliath. But it never mentioned that he used that sling and rock after that. After that, David began to move that sword around. He began to sling that knife. David changed his weaponry. He changed the way he fought in battle. So what I'm trying to say to you, friend, is that you don't have to do things the same way over and over again. There's more than one way that you can skin a cat. There's more than one way that you can fight a battle. But more important than anything, you have to be comfortable using what you have. You have to be comfortable with the gifts and the talents that you have. Comfortable with working the things that that already works. So don't get caught up trying to put on nobody else's armor. Put your whole armor on. Put your own armor on. Because can't nobody do what you can do the way that you do it. Can't nobody reach the people that you can reach. Everybody is not connected to everybody in the same way. Remember, my friend, those who are closest to the problem is closest to the solution. And there are many problems that you are close to that you can serve as a solution for. And that's what Jesus did. In chapter 9 of Matthew, in verse 35, it says that Jesus went through all the towns and the villages. So step one in this process is take initiative to obey. Get active in service. And that's what Jesus did. He went through all the towns and all the villages. He went where the problem was at. He put himself in the midst of the problem because he understood that he was a solution to the problem. But if you don't put yourself where the problem's at, then how can you even have the passion to even want to do anything about it when you don't even know that the problem exists? But we live in a world where you don't have to go far to see problems. You don't even have to leave out of your own home to see that there are problems. You don't have to leave out of your own community to see that the world, my friend, is full of problems. But the question is, what are you? Are you a solution to that problem? Are you, the light, that's going to give some hope, to that dark situation that somebody may be facing? So Jesus, he took the initiative. He got active. He got out the house. He got out the house. He put himself in a situation where people can recognize him, where people can use him. He put himself in a situation, where people can be blessed by him. You remember the story of the woman who had the issue of blood for 12 long years. I mean, she did everything to help to try to eradicate that problem, spent all her money and without any resolve. But one day she was out and about in the community. She seen a crowd of people. In the midst of that crowd, there was a man, there was a healer. In the midst of that crowd was her blessing. So she went and she touched him. And she was able to touch him only because he was available, only because he made himself accessible. See, if you're going to fulfill your God-given vision, my friend, then you have to make yourself available. You have to make yourself accessible. You have to put yourself where the problem is so that you can serve as a solution to that problem. So Jesus went through all the towns and villages where there were problems. He went in all the towns and villages where people were sick, people were hungry, people were dying, people were begging. There was nothing but problems. In all the villages and towns, there were problems. And Jesus didn't run away from those problems because he had a God-given vision. He had a God-given purpose. And when you have that vision and that purpose, you don't run from it like Jonah did. When God gave him that vision to go to Nineveh and to preach repentance so that he can have mercy on these people, and Jonah decided that, I'm going the other way. He didn't go where the problem was. He decided, I'm going to go away from the problem. I'm going to go away from the problem, and I'm going to let God fix that on his own. He don't need me. But the reality is, he don't, but he can use you. The reality is God, he wants to use you. And that's the reason why God called you. And I know sometimes the visions that God gave you, it can be intimidating. Like unto Jonah, it was intimidating going to a people who was considered to be his enemies. Yes, a people who actually enslaved his people, going to these people and telling them to repent, that God want to bless you. Yes, it can be intimidating, going to people, and telling them, you can do better. Going to people, that remember you from your past. Yes, it can be intimidating. Standing in front of a group of people and reminding them that their life matters, that their dreams matter. It can be intimidating. Letting people know that they can also rewrite their story. It can be intimidating using, those gifts. It can be intimidating going up against Goliath, with something small. It can be intimidating, my friend. However, that's what it means to have faith. That's what it means to be courageous. To have faith doesn't mean that there's not any problems. To have faith doesn't mean that there's not any fears. There's not any concerns. But to have faith is to understand that what's ahead of me is greater than that which is trying to stop me. To have faith is to feel the fear and to do it anyway. That's what it means, my friend, to have faith, because you know what you know. So Jesus took initiative. He got active in service. He went out. So I want some of you to go out today. I want you to, do something today as it aligned with the vision that God has given you. He got up. He was active. Nehemiah, he got up and he prayed first, and he talked to the king, and he did something about it. He done something about it. So I need you to get up. I need you to get up, and I need you to get out the house, and I need you to make yourself visible, and I need you to make yourself available. So the second process is he communicated the truth that he already had. It says in verse 35 that teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom. So Jesus went about, not just, healing people, but he communicated his truth. He taught in their synagogues and he proclaimed the good news. So if God has given you a vision, then it's imperative, my friend, that you communicate your truth. That you communicate, your truth of hope to those youth and young adults. You communicate your truth, to those who are struggling with addiction. You communicate your truth to those who are failing in school. You communicate your truth to those who are homeless. You communicate your truth. And part of your truth, my friend, is being able to articulate and being able to share your story. A part of your truth is being able to share, that God has given you a vision and that he in fact cares for them and that he sent you to be a helper in their time of need. Communicating your truth. It's allowing people, to see that you're visible and that you, my friend, are available to lend a helping hand, to communicate your truth. It's to be likened to the Good Samaritan, who recognized a problem that was laying on the side of the road. The Good Samaritan who communicated his truth by taking that individual who was hurt, the individual who was bleeding and broken, and taking them and putting them in a place of safety and taking care of all the bills so that the individual didn't have anything to worry about. The only thing they had to worry about was getting better. That's how he communicated his truth. Jesus communicated his truth by letting people know that I am the way, the truth, and the life. By letting people know that I am a healer. He communicated his truth by laying hands on the sick, opening up the eyes of the blind, causing the lame to walk. He communicated his truth by feeding hundreds of people with small loaves of bread and fish. He communicated his truth. What is your truth? What is your truth? The truth that you are communicating to the community, allowing people know that you have a God-given vision. What is the truth, my friend, that you are communicating? So I want you to think about that. What is the truth that you want to communicate as it pertains to the vision that God has given you? Do you want the youth to know that there is hope? Because you were once a troubled youth. You were once one who went through the juvenile justice system, but you turned your life all around. What is the truth that you want to communicate? You know, that you were also an ex-felon, that you also spent time in prison, but you also rewrote your story. What truth do you want to communicate? That you were once a high school dropout, but now you're a college graduate? What truth do you want to communicate? That you grew up, raised in the projects, but now you're a homeowner and been blessed with a family and blessed to start your own company? What truth do you want to communicate? But you have to communicate your truth. And your truth, my friend, is based on your experiences, not just something that you read out of a textbook. Not just something that somebody told you, for you to mimic and regurgitate. No, but your truth is based on your conviction. Your truth, my friend, is based on your experience. Your truth. So I want you to communicate your truth. The next step in the process is to observe and understand the reality of the human condition. It says that when he saw the crowds, in chapter 9, verse 36, when he saw the crowd, he observed them. He observed them, he watched them, he studied them, he researched them, he looked at them, but when he looked at them through eyes of compassion. He understood the reality of their situation. So when you look out into the community, what are you looking at? What are you seeing? Are you seeing the crowd? Are you seeing, people who are broken? Are you seeing people who are struggling? Are you seeing people who are helpless? Are you seeing people who are hopeless? What are you seeing as it pertains to your vision? Do you see young adults? Do you see, high school students and middle school students who in need of mentors, in need of coaches? Do you see teachers who are in need of training? What do you see as it pertains to the God-given vision for your life? Observe and understand the reality of the condition. Watch them. Connect with the people. Put yourself in their shoes and say to yourself, how would I feel if that was me? How would I feel? What would I want someone to do for me? If that was me, if I was homeless, if I was laying in a gutter, what would I want someone to do for me? If I was struggling with an addiction, what would I want somebody to say to me? It's called empathy. Jesus had empathy. And it takes us to the next step, which is allow God to burden you with a specific need. Jesus had a specific need, and that need was to save those who were lost. That was the need. The world was in need of a Savior. So God sent Christ. Not only did God send Christ, but Christ also sent some people. Because the God-given vision, that God had given Jesus Christ, it was bigger than him. It was a vision that he couldn't fulfill by himself. So if God has given Jesus a vision and he needed help, what makes you think, my friend, that you can do it all by yourself? What makes you think that you, my friend, that you don't need help? Because you need help to fulfill a God-given vision. Regardless of what it is, if it's working with young adults, working with youth, working with the elderly, it don't make a difference, my friend. You're going to need some help. You're going to need some help. If you're going to make a major impact, you're going to need some help. Yes, my friend, you're going to need somebody to come alongside that you can share the vision with. So allow God to burden you with a specific need. In verse 36 of chapter 9, it says that he had compassion, talking about Jesus. He had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. Wow. He had compassion on them because he recognized what it is to be a sheep without a shepherd. He recognized how dangerous it was to be a sheep without a shepherd. How vulnerable, the sheep were, to tragedies. How vulnerable the sheep were, to wolves and things like that will come along to bring harm to the sheep. A sheep without a shepherd ain't wandering aimlessly. A sheep without a shepherd. So when you see the problems in the community, what do you see? What do you see? I see a lot of our young people like that, as sheep without shepherds. A lot of our young people out there without guardians, without parents, without guidance. Aimlessly wandering, ending up anywhere, becoming tragedies in our communities, becoming victims. Sheep without a shepherd. What do we see when we look at the problems head on in our communities and in our life? So the next step, my friend, is to see a divine diagnosis. What is the issue to be resolved? So we saw that Jesus had compassion on who? On the people who were likened to sheep without a shepherd. So in his diagnosis, he figured that a solution to this problem, he said that the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. So that's the problem that needs to be resolved. He said the harvest is plentiful. He said there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of people that need to be helped. There's a lot of people that need to be fed. There's a lot of people that need to be encouraged. A lot of people that need to be motivated. There's a lot of people that need to be counseled. A lot of people that need to be lifted up. He said, but the workers are few. We don't have enough people for the work, for the amount of work that there is. And I have a word for somebody right now. Don't be worrying about what other people was doing. Don't worry about what they doing. Don't worry about, the magnitude in which they doing, because there's enough work for everybody. Yes, that's one thing, my friend, that, we're not in shortage of work as it pertains to helping people. As it pertains to, being innovative and being creative, there's no shortage to innovation. There's no shortage in ways in which you can help people and things in which you can do to help people. Every day, people are stepping out of their comfort zone and they doing something different. and they producing major results. With all, the new technology, that we have today, you can help people easier, man. It's a resource. You got to utilize the resources that you have so that we can have a major impact. So we're talking about the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. That's enough work for you, my friend, even as it pertains to your business. Whatever it is that you want to do, that's enough work for you. There's nobody that has it locked down. Yes, that's not one person that has it locked down. It's enough work for you to do in the community. Yes, there's enough people that you can help. You can still start your own podcast, your own YouTube channel. You can still start your own ministry. You can still start your own clothing line, your own shoe business. You can still start your own coaching business. You can still open up your own school. Yes, you can still do all these things because that's enough work. Your problem is people don't know what you do. Your problem is you don't believe in what you do. Jesus didn't have a problem finding work. All he had to do is go outside. All he had to do was go outside. The Good Samaritan, he didn't have a problem finding work. He stumbled over work by minding his own business. When you understand your passion, when you understand your strength, when you understand your values, and you understand your commitment, then you don't have to go far, my friend, looking for work. All you have to do, my friend, is open up your eyes. All you have to do is activate yourself. Yes, you got to activate yourself. You got to get back into play. You got to get back into the game, my friend. So what is the issue to be resolved? We don't have enough workers. We don't have enough food. We don't have enough clothes. What's the issue? Write it down. Observe it, evaluate it, figure it out. What the issue is. And then we can figure out what we need to do. Jesus first found out what the problem was. The problem was we don't have enough people to do the work. There's enough work. There's a lot of people that need to be healed. There's a lot of people that are still sick. But we don't have enough volunteers. So the next thing that Jesus did, the next step, is pray to determine what action that can meet that need. Pray for direction. Pray for instructions. In chapter 9, verse 38, it says, ask the Lord of the harvest. Yes, he's the Lord of the harvest. He's the Lord of the people. Yeah, he's the Lord of the people who have the problem. He's the Lord of the resources. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send our workers into the harvest field. So he says, I figured out, I did a divine diagnosis, and I understood what the issues is that need to be resolved is we don't have enough workers. We don't have enough resources. So he said, pray. Pray that God will send you the resource. And God, he sent them the resources. What did he say? Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and he gave them authority. So the first thing he prayed that God would send him a team. Prayed that God would send him people who would share in the vision. Because if God is giving you a vision, then the vision is too big for you to fulfill it yourself. So the vision is going to require help. It's going to require that you get people involved. So Jesus, understanding what the problem was, he said, I need to find a team. So he looked out into the crowd. Look at this. He looked out into the problem. and chose 12 problems and made them solutions. Yes. He looked out into the problem and chose 12 problems and turned them into solutions. I just remember, in my life when I was younger, I was a problem. I was a problem, and how God looked at me, a problem, and took a problem. And he allowed me to become a solution to other people's problems. Mainly to the problems that I can connect with, that I can relate to. So God will deliver you from your problems so that you, my friend, can be a solution to other people's problems. But when God delivers you from your problems, don't forget, as you become a solution to other people's problems, that you were once a problem. And in many cases, we forget. And we become impatient with other people's problems and fail to realize that we were once a problem and God delivered us from our problem. So we're talking about problems that become problem solvers. And you're called, my friend, to become a problem solver. And you're also called to help problems to become problem solvers. So Jesus, he chose a team and he empowered them. He empowered them for partnership and not dictatorship. He empowered them not that he can control them and manipulate them. He empowered them so that he can utilize them for the fulfillment of the vision. So as a leader, God wants you to empower people, but he don't want you to control people. He wants you to empower people, but he don't want you to be a dictator over people. He don't want you to be a ruler over people. So Jesus empowered his disciples by giving them authority. To give somebody authority, meaning that you give them permission. He gave them permission to use the power that he empowered them with. So you, my friend, are called to be a partner and to empower other partners who can help you to fulfill your vision. So when you start building your business, when you start building your ministry, when you start building your family, when you start building your team, keep in mind that you're empowering partners. Keep in mind that you're building a team and that there is no I in team. There's no I in team. So it's important that you collaborate and connect with people that you can give authority to. I always talk about the 3 L's. You learn it, you live it, and you lead it. So when Jesus was empowering his disciples, the first thing he had to teach them, they had to learn it. They had to learn his truths. So he instructed them first. He taught them first. They learned it. And then the next step in this process is take immediate actions toward the fulfillment of the vision. So the next thing that Jesus did after he recruited the 12 disciples and he began to teach them, they learned his principles, they learned his methods. The next thing that he did was he sent them out into the harvest. So the first thing they did, they learned it, and now they're living it. They're going out and live that which they learned. And later on, after Jesus' departure, we see that they begin to lead it. And you see that when you look at some of the books in the Bible, such as Peter, James, when you look at Corinthians, and you look at, the book of Galatians, and you look at the epistles, and you look at these, various letters. These are the letters, of the apostles and the letters of the disciples who lived. And now they're leading. They're leading now. They writing books. They writing journals on the things that they learned and the things in the way that they live. And that's what we read today. When you pick up your Bible, you reading their life lessons. You reading what they learned. You reading what they lived. You're reading what they're leading. So that final step, my friend, is take immediate action. He sent them out. And when Jesus sent the 12 disciples out, they didn't start off good. No, they didn't start off good, my friend. Listen, there's a lot of failure. There was a lot of failure. There was one situation where they was trying their hand. They say, man, we got this guy, he got a son. He wants to cast him out. And the guy brought his son to the disciples. Then he go to Jesus and said, I took them to your disciples and they couldn't cast him out. What's going on? He said, what's going on with your plan, your program? It's not working. So Jesus looked at the disciples and he said, oh, ye of little faith. Wow. And that may sound a little discouraging, but it's not. Because Jesus understood that as it pertains to faith, faith is a process. He didn't say you didn't have any faith. He just said that you had a little faith. But that faith, my friend, it grows over time. And this is a misconception, that many people has as it pertains to faith. Faith is like a seed. And that's what the Bible, it equates to faith to being the seed. It connects it. It says it's a seed, a small seed, like a mustard seed. And when you look at a mustard seed is a very small seed that has great potential. It's a very small seed that once you plant it in the right environment and you give it the nourishment and give it what it needs, it produces something great. A tree, a forest. But it all started from that small seed, and inside of that seed lies unlimited potential. And Jesus is talking about, your faith is just like that mustard seed. Now that mustard seed, it started off small, but it began to grow and it produced something else. So he's saying that your faith, even though it's small, if you nurture it, if you water it, he said your faith is going to grow. I hear people say, the Bible said, all it takes is just a little bit of faith. No, it doesn't take just a little bit of faith, because they had a little bit of faith and they couldn't cast it out. So if all it took was a little bit of faith, then what was the problem? Because Jesus said, he said, oh, ye of little faith. So it wasn't the fact that, they just had little faith. It was the fact that there are some problems that are too big for small faith. There are certain situations that the only way that you're going to be able to resolve them is that you have growing faith. From faith to faith. You have a faith that's constantly growing. And your faith, my friend, it grows through trial and error. Because when you look at the disciples and how they couldn't, in this situation, they couldn't do it. Because Jesus said their faith was small. But as time went on, they began to do the things that they couldn't do before. Why? Because their faith had grown. They had growing faith. Their faith was nurtured now. It was watered now. So now it began to grow. And it's the same thing with you, my friend. Some of you right now, it's not that you don't have any faith. Your faith might just be small. And there are certain things that certain doors you can get through with small faith, but there are other doors that's going to take your faith to be a little bigger. It's going to take for you, my friend, to step out. It's going to take for you, my friend, to get out the house and to get active in service. So take immediate action, but don't expect to be good. Make yourself available, but don't expect to be great. Because nobody starts off good. The disciples, they didn't start off good. When you build your business, you're not going to start off good. It's going to be some frustration. Every business I started, I didn't start off good. This podcast, that I'm building now, I know, that it's not great. Because nobody starts off good, but I expected to get better. My business that I have right now, put me in coach consultant. No, it didn't start off good, but I expected to get better. As long as I continue to make myself available. As long as I continue to be a resource. As long as I continue to get out the house. As long as I continue to speak my truth. As long as I continue to have empathy toward the people in which God has given me the gifts and the talents to serve. As long as I continue to see a divine diagnosis and see what is the issue that needs to be resolved. As long as I continue to pray to determine what actions that I need to take. As long as I continue to choose a team and to empower and to have partnership with. Yes. My dreams matter. And I too, my friend, am rewriting my story. I'm rewriting my story, and I know that I can't do it without God. So in the last book that I wrote, Your Dreams Matter, 7 things that your dream needs from you, one of the things that I talk about is faith. Because your dream, it needs faith. And more important, your dream needs faith in someone that is bigger than you. You have to put faith in the one who gave you the dream. You have to put the faith in the one who gave you the vision. And though the vision tarry, he said, wait for it. Because it shall come to pass. For you, it may be taking a long time. For some of you, it's taking long because you haven't got out the house. You're not doing anything. So you don't see any progress. You don't see God moving. Because you're not putting yourself in a position where he can move. You're not making yourself available. You're not making yourself accessible. So that you can use that gift and use those talents that he has given you. Remember, my friend, the harvest is still plentiful. So whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, the Bible says, do with all thy might. So whatever God envisioned you to do, do it. Whatever God has compelled you to do, my friend, then we need you to do it. But we want you to do it right. We want you to do it in a way that you can fulfill your vision that God has given you. So we follow the steps of Christ. Then I know, my friend, that we can fulfill this vision. I want you to be great today. I want you to be inspired today. I want you to chime in, to lock in. I want you to, hit the like button. Subscribe to this channel because we're going to be pouring some information out that's going to help you, to grow in various areas of your life. We talked about spiritual growth, emotional growth. We talked about business growth. We're going to be talking about your business. We're going to giving you information, resources to help you grow yourself, to help you grow your business. We're going to help you to become better. So I want you to lock in, my friend. Hit the like button, hit that bell so that, you can get alerts from whenever we put out a video. Also, if you have any concerns, any questions, that I may be able to answer for you, I encourage you, my friend, to ask your questions, because that's what we're here for. I want to hear back from you. If this has inspired you, if this has been a blessing to you, I want to hear back from you. It's important to me, my friend. And also, I would like for you to share it with somebody else. Share it. It's not going to take that much time to share it. Share it with a few people that you believe that this may be a blessing to. Because, my friend, there is more to come. And you, my friend, you don't want to miss this. So be great today. Be inspired. And remember, it's your life story. And you can rewrite it if you want to. So when you're ready to go to that next level, all you got to do is say, put me in, coach. That's it. I mean, that's the go word for put me in, coach consult. That's the go word. Put me in, coach. That's it. All we need to hear is put me in, coach. And that's letting us know you're ready. You're not playing no more. That let us know you're not afraid no more. You're ready to get in the game. Put me in, coach. I'm ready. Tired of sitting on the sideline. I'm tired of being a spectator. Put me in. I'm not afraid to try. I'm not afraid to win. I'm a part of the team. I need to get in the game. Be great today. Put me in, coach. Yes. Put me in the game.